I'm going to adjust the environment and lighting intensity. We'll explore new colors with the lights we're using. I'll remove the Korean light, our target light. With a spotlight system, you can spotlight items using photometric light. Standard lights with free spots are easier to use. Drop a free spot here, and it lights below. I can turn on the Omni light, adjust the light placement, and modify it as needed. The Omni light works based on its position. You might need to restart the program if issues arise. With a spotlight system, spotlighting is a type of photometric light. People often use standard lights. They are easier with free spots. Dropping it here lights up below. I can turn on the Omni light. Positioning and adjusting the light is your choice. The Omni light adapts. Adjust parameters, intensity, and color. It works based on position. You might need to restart the program if issues arise. Some suggest right-clicking the plus sign in viewport settings to toggle the light. Others use rendering, but that's not my focus. The key is placing the light as you wish. The Omni light allows you to adjust the way you place and modify the light. You can adjust parameters, change intensity, and it will work by position. You might need to close the program and reopen it if it's malfunctioning. Some people might tell you to right-click the plus sign and work in your viewport settings to turn the light on or off. Importantly, you can place the light however you want. Adjust and change colors as you like. And some people will tell you to right-click the plus sign to toggle the light. You can place the light as you want and make it work. Adjust and change colors as you like. Know every shape has components, and you can modify the structure. If someone changes the shape, you can adjust. All right. Then return to the presentation. You can close and reopen the program. To save, just say thank you. Do you want the world to work with you, to fix things, to come in and change the colors? What's important for me is that you know every shape has its components, and in space, you can modify the structure. If someone adjusts the shape, you can make those changes. All right? And besides that, go back to the presentation and continue with it. You can completely close the program. You might want to close the program and reopen it. If you want to save, just say thank you, and that's it. All right, and here's the program icon. You can run it anytime. Great. If you allow me, I'd like to go back to the presentation because there are some very important things I want to show within the next 15 minutes. Close everything here, but just make sure that the screen is showing for you all. Dr. Dave's topic is the coordinate system. He states 3D environments exist in 3D space. The lowest point is a vertex located at XYZ. The vertex is where the object is. What's the difference between the object and vertex? The vertex is part of the object at XYZ, a point. The object refers to its center point, not just location. Where is that center point? It can move left or right. Understand you have space and a point in it. Forget the vertex for a moment. The vertex is a point outside, but a space point is defined by XYZ position. So, what's the difference between the object and the vertex? The vertex is a point on the object at specific X, Y, Z coordinates. The object refers to its center point, not just its location. Where is that center point? I can move it left or right. Understand space and a point within it. A point in space is defined by its X, Y, Z position. It could be within an object or be an object itself. This will become clear. The main idea is understanding depth. Imagine a room. How are your X, Y, Z coordinates set? It's like the number line from school math. My task is to understand space and a point within it. The point in space corresponds to X, Y, and Z positions. The key is understanding depth. Imagine yourself in a room. How are your X, Y, and Z coordinates set up? This is similar to the number line from math. The X and Y axes indicate positive and negative values. X coordinates can be positive or negative, and when intersecting with Y, they can also be positive or negative. The point in space is the position X, Y, Z. It could be an object inside that position or one of the objects. X and Y axes indicate positive and negative values. X coordinates can be positive or negative, and when intersecting with Y, they can also be positive or negative. In 3D space, the point X, Y, and Z keep you on track. The shape in front of us is X, Y, and Z. The X and Y axes indicate positive and negative values. X coordinates can be positive or negative. Recall the number line and spatial geometry. Think of the number line as a start, and spatial geometry as a next step. Consider our discussion in 3D space with X, Y, and Z keeping you on track. The shape before us is about X, Y, and Z. The center point, where X, Y, and Z are 0, is the true center. This point could represent Earth, with parts below and above it. Remember the number line as a starting point, then think of spatial geometry. In 3D space, consider the point X, Y, and Z to stay on track. The shape before us involves X, Y, and Z. The center point, where X, Y, and Z are 0, is the center point. This point could represent Earth, with parts above and below it. If Earth is at X, it would be negative Y and Z. Inside Earth, Y is right and left. Z is above and below. All this is based on the number line or axis. The center point, where X is 0, Y is 0, and Z is 0, is the center point. So this is our focal point. This point could represent Earth with parts above and below. The Earth could be here and something flies above. Something else is stuck. Placing Earth at X makes Y and Z negative. Inside Earth, Y is right, left, Z is above, below. All this is based on the number line or axis, our coordinates. The Earth could be here and something could be flying above it, while something else is stuck to the ceiling. If you place the Earth at X, it would be negative Y and negative Z as you see it. But this isn't inside the Earth. Inside the Earth, Y would be to the right and left, positive Z, and negative Z would be above and below, positive Y and negative Y to the right and left. So, as you can see, all of this is based on the number line or the axis that we refer to as coordinates. All right? Okay? What we're referring to as the coordinates. All right, okay. We're summarizing the discussion so that it remains somewhat understandable. 3D space includes length, width, and depth. Objects have depth. Even paper and sand grains seem flat, but have depth. Everything is 3D, but tiny objects appear flat. I gave an example here of a bedroom or study. You will notice that everything is smooth in dimensions. The chair is 3D. The desk, office, building, plants, and people, nothing is flat. Even a grain of sand has depth. Everything is three-dimensional. Let's discuss the difference between 3D and 2D. All right? Great. We'll learn modeling. I'll teach you to make a chair, a table, and add lighting. God willing, it will work out. But it's not flat. It's three-dimensional. They're geometric shapes, but they vary in size. They're geometry, three-dimensional geometric shapes, not just shapes, and they're not flat. Okay? So let's talk about the difference between 3D and 2D, all right? Great. This is the program. We'll proceed step by step learning modeling. Now I'll teach you to make a chair, a table, and how to make the chair look wooden or apply texture and lighting. Lighting can cause issues in 3ds Max. It needs settings that are often locked, wasting time. Modeling, the camera, animation, and rendering don't cause issues. Materials can be problematic as they rely on external programs, sometimes leading to issues. We'll also work on lighting and materials and see how rendering goes. Lighting in 3ds Max can cause issues due to locked settings, wasting time. If lighting bothers me, I can leave the camera for later. Modeling, camera, animation, and rendering don't cause problems. Materials can be problematic as they rely on external programs, sometimes causing issues. I'll focus on modeling, camera, and animation. We'll see how rendering goes. This takes time, but this is where we'll be working. 3ds Max is used in architectural design, games, movies, advertising, media, and web design. The basic elements are the vertex, points, edges, faces, polygons, and the object. Sometimes external programs can cause issues, and sometimes they work fine. Honestly, I'll focus on modeling, materials, the camera, and animation after the Maghrib prayer. We'll also work on lighting and materials and see how the rendering goes. In short, all of this takes a long time, but to summarize, this is where we'll be working. Of course, it's used in architectural design, computer games, movies, cinema, advertising, media, and web design. 3ds Max is used for a lot of things. This is the geometric shape I was going to create for you earlier. We said that the basic elements are the vertex, which are the points, the edges, the faces, the polygons, and the object itself. All right, great. Here, did I mention the faces? Oh, the faces. Okay. So there are scientific terms for computer modeling that you need to understand. These are primitive shapes. I use these primitive shapes to create things like I can use a box to make a table or a chair. I can use it to make a wardrobe or a car. Everything starts with a basic geometric shape. Then I go back and modify it with the editor or apply a modifier, whatever you want to call it. I use a modifier so I can create a model and work on it, of course. Yeah. With the extrude, this body goes into depth. All right? Here, there are some really important things about colors that relate to lighting. They say if you have a blue surface and you put red on it, it will give you a different color. If the surface is green and the light is red, it will mix and give you yellow. So you need to be aware of how colors interact between the color of the box and the lighting, because the color will change. You might say, this yellow color is dominating. I have a green background and red lighting. How does that yellow come about? They say it's the result of the two colors mixing. You know, you might be in a store and buy a color that looks one way, but when you get home, it looks different. Even the vendors selling fruits use this trick. They sell tomatoes and put a tablecloth under the tomatoes. The tomatoes look all green, but they make them look red with a strong light, and the color reflection makes you feel like the tomatoes are red. You buy them, and when you get home, you find them all white and green. So even in real life, color can be deceptive when selling vegetables and fruits. You need to pay attention to color theory. Each of these colors is perceived in computers from 0 to 255, and I'll show you that now. Tomatoes are all green, meaning they are red in color. He put a strong light bulb, and the reflection of the color makes you think that the tomatoes are red. He buys from him, and you go to your house and finds them all white and green. He says that the intensity of the color, even in life, there is deception in selling vegetables and psychological fruits. Be careful of the theory of spirits. Each of these colors is understood in the computer from the bottom 255. I will show you now. I won't do it in 2 minutes. Let's leave it for after prayer, when we can open the program and see how we'll deal with colors. We've set up the program differently from the old method based on old screens. We covered how to access the program. I'll give you the agenda. We have a break lasting half an hour. Take your break and come back at 6:45 to start the program and do practical work. I'm muting my mic, not leaving the program. After prayer, we'll continue. Let's take our break and ensure the program is running, so when you finish your prayer, you can come back. So, we covered how to access the program at the beginning. I'm going to give you the agenda, everyone. We have a break, and this break is going to last for half an hour. So, if you allow me, please take your break and come back to me at 6:45 so we can start the program together and do some practical work. Can you hear me? Great, thank you, doctor. All right, let's take our break, everyone. I'm going to mute my mic, but I won't leave the program. After prayer, we'll continue. Just a few minutes. So let's take our break peacefully. Make sure the program is running. So when you finish your prayer, you can come back. I just need to mute the mic for a short break and we'll come back in half an hour.